Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 567 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our sixth book just came out. It's called I'm So Beautiful, It's Ridiculous, Unleashing and Promoting Strength, Self-Worth, and Real Sisterhood. So go and pick up that book on Amazon or Barnes& Noble today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring fraternity and sorority leaders, as well as college students, together. Fun fact, college is all about building relationships. That's why you're spending all that money to meet people on campus for 4 years. Build that network while you're in college. Now is the time to reach out to people in your target industry, in your target job. You can use LinkedIn to do that and leverage your fraternity or sorority connections, as well as your alumni connections from your institution. All of these people in your industry will be very happy to set up a Zoom call with you to talk about how you can make it into your dream job. Let's talk more about building authentic relationships with our next guest. Randy Lyman is a physicist, an entrepreneur, and a leading expert on emotional intelligence and service-based leadership. He has pioneered a groundbreaking approach that bridges science and spirituality to transform how people understand abundance. His book, it's called The Third Element, reveals the missing link in manifestation that most teachers miss, how unresolved emotional trauma secretly shapes our reality. After forging multiple successful businesses, including an Inc. 500 company, Randy Lyman discovered that true success requires more than just positive thinking and action. This revelation led him to develop a practical system for emotional mastery that has transformed thousands of lives. His background in physics and business gives him unique credibility in both corporate boardrooms and spiritual communities, making him a sought-after voice on the intersection of emotional intelligence and abundance. Randy is now a serial entrepreneur behind multiple eight-figure businesses. Welcome to the show, Randy.
Hey, Michael, great to be here.
It is fantastic to have you on the show. You have so much great experience, and I want to share that with college students. I almost wish that I had a guy like you that could mentor me when I was back in college, because you would have saved me so much time in reaching my goals and building relationships.
Yeah, but those mistakes we make along the way, those are part of the path. And as long as we have optimism and determination and some good mentors along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you could have saved me a few mistakes. That's ultimately where I'm going with this. I made a ton of mistakes, right? And so I think you could have saved me some time and trouble. But let's talk about your college experience. I always think that's fun. You actually decided on Cal State Sacramento for your undergraduate college experience. Why did you decide on Cal State Sacramento?
Well, I was living in that town at the time. I had a woman I was infatuated with, lived in Sacramento. I chased after her there. And actually, I was not going to go to college. She talked me into going to college.
Wow, what a story. Did it work out with her or did it not work out?
No, it didn't work out eventually, but I learned my lessons along the way that I needed.
Yeah. For some reason, it never works out. Every guest that says that they were chasing somebody that they wanted to be with, for whatever reason, it falls apart almost every single time, almost 100% certainty.
Yeah, I that's my observation as well. But it took me to where I needed to be. I started mechanical engineering. I got kind of bored with that, and I wanted to learn more about electronics and computer programming. And somebody said, "Well, go join the physics department, and you'll learn that." Well, I did, and I realized after I did that how hard it was. But it was a great experience. I met a lot of wonderful people and learned a lot of things, and I found the strength within myself I didn't know was there before I started college.
Yeah, that's definitely not an easy track, that's for sure. So I'm sure it's all worked out for you. So that worked out really well in hindsight. You also founded and developed Randy's Worldwide into a market leader in aftermarket differentials components to solve real problems for automotive enthusiasts and professionals. And this is over a 30-year period. This isn't just a couple of years. It's your belief that true business success comes from balancing analytical thinking with emotional intelligence. What do you mean by that?
Well, we can find success through being educated and good planning and hard work. But in order to find true fulfillment, we have to be aware of our emotional self. And in order to build teams that really gel and enjoy working together and achieve amazing results, then pretty much have to include the emotional element of being human. It's not a bad thing. We don't make decisions based on emotion, but we approach each other from the point of view of we are spiritual beings here on a human path. We are of good, we are capable of good, and we see the beauty in each other. And when we look for it, we find it, and the teams work better together, and we accomplish more things in life. That's really in a nutshell. Now, we're going to expand on that, but I found that when I let go of my need for control and I looked for other ways of being successful on the human side rather than just intelligence and hard work, so many doors opened up for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I love that you talk about service-based leadership as well. I think that's really, really important. And that's the key to unlocking, getting the most out of the people that you're working with, is really trying to make the world a better place. So I love that you lead with that. I think it's fantastic. We should talk about your book. Your book is called The Third Element. What exactly is the third element that students might be overlooking in their own lives?
Okay, so everything in the universe fits into one of three categories or three elements. And these are not in any particular order, but it's helpful for me to talk about them this way. First element is our thoughts and information, planning, ideas, all that. Okay, then the second element is our physical body and the physical world around us. And then the third category, or what I call the third element, is our emotions. So anything in the universe is either of thoughts, physical, or emotional. And so we, again, educate ourselves, work hard, so we'll feel good. But the whole time we're trying to feel good, we're pushing our emotions down as we're trying to find success and drive ourselves forward. And what I figured out through my own experiences that I've just reinforced over tens of thousands of new experiences, the emotional energy within us from emotions we didn't feel completely, good, bad, or otherwise, stays within our being until we find a way to feel it completely. And so if I'm in the eighth grade and I break my leg and my dad says, "Oh, be a man, walk it off." I'm a kid. I broke my leg. It hurts. I want to cry, man. That hurts. And so I stuff that feeling. Well, that energy of emotions is bigger than time and space. And if I haven't felt that, then the law of attraction, I'm a big believer in the law of attraction. I'm a physicist, I'm a scientist, but law of attraction is about harmonic resonance, the same as nuclear physics. And the law of attraction says if there's an emotion within us we didn't feel completely at the moment when it was valid, then we get an opportunity to go back, kind of go back in time, so to speak, but feel that old emotion in present time, feel the pain, cry the tears if we need to. Yes, I'm a man who cries tears from time to time. That's okay. And release it. Then when we do, we don't need the reminder. So law of attraction brings chaos into our life to remind us of what we need to feel from the past. And also, when we approach people knowing that we're all emotional, then we treat people with more compassion. We treat people with more respect and caring. And we show up understanding they have their own needs, they have their own desires. And when a leader understands that my power doesn't come from my title, my power comes from helping people find their own power, helping people find their own sense of meaning at work or in life, then suddenly those people are on our side and we have a great team.
Mm, Yeah, really well said. I like all of that. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is the graduating seniors right now. We have a bunch of people who either just graduated last weekend or are about getting ready to graduate and go out into the real world. What is one emotional skill that you wish you had developed earlier in your career?
Listening.
Hmm,
So now,
Yeah.
not just pretending I'm listening, not just listening part of the time, but I had to learn not to ping pong back and forth with conversation, meaning when the other person finished speaking, then I had to learn to give them space to say more or ask them, well, what else are you thinking? What are you feeling? Help me understand where your position a little better. Now that takes an investment in time. And as a manager, as a business owner, even as a just a team member, I don't want to take the time to do that. But when I take the time to let the other person express completely, then they've got an empty cup. They're not waiting to say that next thing, and they're able to listen to what I have to say. So I understand them better, and they feel heard. And now we're working together. We're not just trying to convince the other person of our ideas.
Mm, yeah, well said. That's also a skill that I think I should have developed at an earlier age. It would have made things easier for me for sure. Earlier in the conversation, we started talking about students building authentic professional relationships instead of transactional ones. So, how can college students do that early on in their career, even as an intern or an entry-level employee?
Goodness. I guess the best thing to do, first of all, is say, how can I be of help to the person I'm interacting with? Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to fix their problems. It doesn't mean that I'm going to change who I am. But when I'm more aware of what the other person is going through and what they're trying to accomplish, it gives me avenues to interact in a deeper way. Now, interacting deeper with people we hardly know, that can be scary if we don't know ourselves. But if we know ourselves and we know that I am a sovereign human being who can make decisions for myself, I can set boundaries if I need to, and I can show up and share the better parts of myself, my caring, my compassion, my love, my optimism. Optimism is huge. Now, when I look at my relationships and say, how can I make a deeper relationship out of this acquaintance? How can I find a deeper relationship in the people I'm working with? To people who have just been intellectual, that sounds crazy. And that sounded crazy to me 35 years ago. But today, I always look for how do I create a deeper relationship with this person who has needs and desires the same as me?
Hmm. Yeah, that's kind of counterintuitive, but it's an important lesson because if you're a college student trying to make an impression on a CEO of a company, immediately you want to say, well, I'm good at all of these things, and you have a list of things. But instead, if you just ask them, hey, how can I help you? And you listen, then that CEO is going to tell you all the things that are pain points for them. And then you can show how your experience will help them to solve that problem. That's a much more effective way of going about that interaction.
Well, yeah, that's really the only way that's effective long term, because
Yeah.
otherwise we're just two egos showing up, trying to
Yeah.
figure out how do I get the most from this situation for myself,
Yeah.
rather than knowing I can help the other person win and I can win at the same time.
Yeah, help others. I think that's really the key. Instead of just thinking about yourself, think about the other person in the conversation, what it is that they're looking for. And if you help them, then you can build that long-term relationship you're looking for. So I like that a lot. You also share that you've dealt with mental health challenges personally. What helped you to navigate all of those issues while also leading other people?
Well, I don't know if I would say I've been blessed. I haven't necessarily had any challenges with depression or anything like that, but I have had challenges with anger.
Mm,
And that is part of mental health because
yep.
I felt so frustrated. Again, I was following the rules that I thought mattered. I'm going to be smart, I'm going to work hard, and I didn't find success. So, well, wait a minute, I deserve more. So that was frustrating. I deserve more and I've worked really hard. Now I'm angry. Okay. And so, from that point of view, yes, I've had mental health challenges, which were really emotional health challenges of unexpressed emotions that were building up inside of me that I needed to release. So, when I found a way to get through that, I spent 3 years from the age of 28 to almost 32 with a woman who was much more spiritually experienced and advanced than me. And she helped me become aware of my emotions. She created a safe, loving, supporting space while I was going through my anger and frustration and disappointment and allowed me to feel those feelings. And when I did, and I got through the emotional part, then suddenly my thoughts are more effective and my actions are more effective and my life changed. And I had a few epiphanies along the way that led me to what I've written about in my book, The Third Element, and I talk about some of those experiences in the book. But once I had those releases of that old emotional pain, my physical reality and my relationships improved in ways that people would say were miracles.
Wow. So, I mean, those relationships, I'm sure that impacted your personal relationships as well as your business relationships. So I'm thinking more about how unhealed emotional patterns might actually shape your success or maybe a lack of success in a first job or a relationship after college, right?
Two ways. First of all, they had a negative impact on my relationships with the people I knew and loved and my friends and the people I worked with, especially
Mhm.
because if I was not aware of my own fear, of my own disappointment, and when I walk into a room, I'm carrying that energy of worry, of expectations, of fear. People feel that. We feel each other. Yeah, we hear each other and we can be intellectual, but our instincts are based on our feelings and our emotions. So if I walk into a room and I'm prepared and I'm confident mentally, but I've got some worry. Now, all of a sudden, the people I'm interacting with, they feel that worry. And then they feel, if I have any fear, they feel my fear and they put up their walls and they protect themselves. And now we don't have a deeper interaction. Everybody's just trying to figure out how to survive. And survival is no way to go through life. Yeah, there's times when we have to put up boundaries to survive. But as a true leader, if we're centered within who we are at a deeper level, and we know our power comes from helping the group succeed, then we show up with confidence. And so, again, my emotional wounds got in the way of my success. And then once I got past my own emotional wounding, then I was able to hold space for people to be more emotional. And it doesn't mean they're not going to be logical. They just get to be their own human, happy personal self. Or if sometimes their sad personal self who needed time to feel what they needed to feel. So what I learned from all this, after I got my own emotions out of the way, in order to help people feel better, they first need to be acknowledged for who they are. They're unique. Who do I acknowledge them by listening to them, by talking with them uniquely in a way that acknowledges them as a person, as a human spiritual being? Then do they feel like they're contributing to the cause? Some people's life doesn't have meaning at home. And if they can feel like they're contributing at work, suddenly it gives their life meaning. And that matters to people. So that feeling of contribution matters. And then third, do they feel like they belong to the group? Meaning, are they acknowledged by their peers, not just me? And do they feel safe? Do they feel like they belong? We're tribal. Instinctually, we're tribal. And if we're not part of the tribe, we're not going to survive. So again, those three things of acknowledgement, contribution, and a sense of belonging, I was able to come up with ways to change my behavior to make that known to people that I cared and to help people feel like they belong. Then we came up with programs where people approach life and work completely differently when they realize they don't have to protect themselves every moment of every day.
Mm. Sounds like you've really been able to master your own emotions, which is fantastic. I'm sure everybody who's listening to this conversation also wants to master their emotions. So, is there some simple daily habit or a reflection exercise that you would recommend to them?
For me, because I'm still left-brained, I like to write out what I appreciate. So gratitude is extremely helpful. And
Mm.
if I can't get to that right away, then I go to writing down a list of my problems. So the human mind will say, I've got problems. And if it's 5 or 25, imagination makes it out to be 300. So I write it down and now I can quantify my problems. If I have solutions, I can quantify those solutions. And if I don't have solutions, or even if I do, but I'm still annoyed, I can try and get to writing down what is the feeling I have around this problem. So once I become aware of my feelings, now I can separate the feelings from my actions and my thoughts. And if I have the time and space, I can go heal those feelings that I have that are annoying. So journaling is huge, and that works for pretty much anybody. And in college, we're writing down a lot of stuff anyway. We usually have a pen and a piece of paper. And it's safe because I don't have to share that with anybody. I can write it down, work through it, and if I don't like it, I can throw it away or burn it. Nobody knows. So that's my go-to.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think writing down what you're grateful for and just giving gratitude, I think, is so critical at the start of every day. Especially, the college students who are listening right now. We are so privileged to be on college campuses. Not everybody gets that opportunity to go to college. And the fact that you're there and you have all of that opportunity, what a gift. What a gift. And that really kind of lends itself into that service component, that servant leadership that you talk about too, is making sure that we're giving back with all this privilege that we have and we're lifting up other people in our community up to where we are. I think that is our responsibility as people who have been given that opportunity on a college campus. Mm.
And something I heard 30 years ago is we find more success when we help other people be successful.
Yeah.
And the best way for me to find success in my business is to create an environment where other people were successful and they got what they needed. And then they're happy and they contributed more and the world's a better place. some people believe the only way to make money or find success is by taking from others. And a few people in the world find temporary success by taking from others. But lasting success comes from creating value, from creating great relationships, and for showing up from a deeper place of being and not just from our intelligence. Intelligence is valuable, but that's not everything. Hard work is valuable, but that's not everything. And when we can have these deeper experiences, our life improves, the people around us, their life improves. And that's the only way to improve the whole world is to start with ourselves and with caring and be of service.
Yeah, I love that you play the long game. You're always talking about lasting success. I think that's really how you build a career. This one-hit wonder and get rich quick schemes is really not the way to build something that's sustainable. So I love the way that you talk. I think that's really important for the college students to really internalize and think about. Is there some emotional truth that you think every college student needs to hear before they walk across that graduation stage this month? This month?
They don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
In college, we learn all the answers have to be perfect. And for some professors, they are perfect. But in life, we're going to make mistakes and we're going to take risks and we're going to get knocked down. And if we're optimistic enough to get up and try it again, and we'll get better and better. And some things we will perfect, but most of life we won't do perfectly. And that's absolutely okay. And that's by design. And don't be hard on yourself. And don't be hard on the people around you who are not perfect. Know that we're all doing the best we can and take risks and appreciate who you are. I don't mean false pride. Appreciate you made it through college. Appreciate that you've had these opportunities in this great country and other great countries around the world, and take forward from this college experience that there are answers to every problem, and you won't get it right the first time, but keep trying.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think today's college students are so afraid of making mistakes, and they shouldn't be. College is a great place to make a mistakes because, hey, the repercussions are very small, right? All right, you made a mistake. All right, so we get up and we go to class the next day. It's not like you're running a huge company at that point while you're still in college. So you can make those mistakes and learn and figure out what leadership style works for you. This is the time to experiment and to throw things against the wall and see what sticks. You don't have a lot of responsibilities. It's not like you have a huge family or hundreds of employees at that point that you need to care for. So I agree with you. I think now is the time for college students to make those mistakes and to learn. And honestly, I have to tell you, if you think that success is a straight line, even after you graduate college, I'm telling you, it is not. There's a series of left turns and right turns and U-turns in my career to get to this point. I know it looks great, but I'm telling you, there were a whole bunch of wrong turns along the way. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. I think you hit the nail on the head, Randy.
And I talk about that in chapter 6 of my book of we plan a trip and there's a detour.
Hmm?
Why should we get angry about the detour? Let's find the gift in the detour. Let's find the gift in the mistake. Let's find the gift in the challenge. And then our whole life changes once we start to see beauty in everything, even in the problems.
Yeah, totally agree. Now, I love great food. That is my weakness. And I know there's probably not a lot of really good restaurants in Moses Lake, Washington, but do you have any recommendations for food?
Well, the way I was guided yesterday, I went to a little over an hour drive away to Ellensburg, Washington. It's a
Mhm.
college campus, college town. There's
Yeah.
a campus there.
Uh,
And I went to the Cornerstone Italian Kitchen, and the food was amazing. The service was amazing, and we had a great experience. So if you're ever in Ellensburg, Washington, I definitely recommend the Cornerstone Italian Kitchen. And food is a wonderful experience because we get to slow down and see a different side of the people we're interacting with.
yeah, I 100% agree. Cornerstone Italian, that is your recommendation. So we're all going to go and check that out, give a bunch of business to that restaurant owner. And I agree with you. I think, we can disagree on things, on policies, on issues, and all kinds of things. And there's a lot of disagreement in this world today. But we can both agree on a really good plate of pasta or something like that at Cornerstone Italian. And then all those other things, they just become kind of go to the edges and it's like, oh, it's not as important. Let's just focus on this great food and we'll figure out where we can meet in the middle. So yeah, I highly suggest food as something that brings people together. And that's kind of the whole point of the podcast. So thank you for illustrating that so wonderfully. And if our listeners, if they want to go and buy your book is called The Third Element. And I know you have a copy of it there, which is fantastic. Where should our listeners go to buy the book or to connect with you? Where should they go?
Well, if you go to my website, there's certain outlets I can't mention because they get you blocked, and we're not going to do that. We want people to find success. So if
Yes.
they go to my website, randylyman.com, it's RandyLyman.com. You can go on, if you can find my book there, you can click on the how-tos and see some of the books that have been helpful for me. You can get some free videos on tapping and such. And there's a lot of free information because coming out of college, we don't always have much money. But this isn't about making money for me. This is about helping people find their way in life. And that's what my website is all about is, hey, it doesn't have to be a fight. You can find success and there is hope.
That's fantastic. Go and check out the website. It's randylyman.com. I'm going to spell it for you. It's RandyLyman.com. Go to the website and go and check it out. You can, of course, find his book. It's called The Third Element. We won't name the shops, but it's those big bookstores. They have his book. It's called The Third Element. And go and buy the book. I'm telling you, it is a worthy investment. And for all the college students, I really think you're going to appreciate all the wisdom and experience that Randy brings to the table. So, Randy, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you, Doctor, for having me on. This has been a lot of fun.
My pleasure. And to our listening audience and to all the college students listening, if you enjoyed this conversation with Randy, I want you to like this and I want you to share it on social media with every college student that you know. They need to read his book. It's called The Third Element. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Bye for now.